our attendees are coming in right now. We've got 11, but they're slowly coming in.
Okay, great. As people start coming into the room, we just want to say thank you for joining us today. We've got a fun presentation to talk about aerospace and aeronautical engineering at RPI, and we all want to say congratulations on your acceptance to RPI, and we're really excited to tell you more about RPI and all these students and faculty's experience at RPI. So, oh, there we go. Working on the slides, getting them shared. We are recording right now. My name is Kate Stockton. I'm a student services representative from the Maine department. Maine stands for Mechanical, Aerospace, and Nuclear Engineering. And today we have faculty. We have Professor Ankar Sani, who will be doing the slides today. We also have Professor Tom Haley, and we have Professor Kurt Anderson. And then we also have from admissions, we have Randy Moore, who can answer any admissions questions that you may have. And we have some of our students here today. So let's see. Maya, you're on my screen first. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about, where you are in your journey here at RPI?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Maya Scaramuza. I am a senior aerospace engineering student and a minor in psychology. I started RPI actually as a math major, and within my first 3 semesters, I really figured out what my passions were and decided to switch to aerospace engineering, where I've had a great time. But I've also learned how much determination, grit, and hard work it takes to really step up and graduate in 4 years. But I'm sad it's ending.
All right, thanks, Maya. We also have Matthew Ireland. Matthew, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Matt Ireland. I'm also a senior doing aeronautical engineering, but I'm also doing the dual mech aero program that RPI offers. So that means I'll be graduating in May with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's in aeronautical engineering, which is a really great program that a lot of people choose to do here. It kind of lets you learn a little bit more from both of those fields. Like Maya said, definitely sad it's ending. RPI is a pretty great place. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. All right, next we have Lucas and Friend. So can you both introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Lucas Long. I'm also a senior at RPI. I'm an aero major. RPI is tough, but it's worth it. The amount of knowledge you gain from your courses and your extracurriculars take you a long way.
And my name is Noah Miranda, also a senior too. And I think one of the really cool things about being at RPI is you may not know what you want to do when you first get here, but a lot of the stuff that you do learn will kind of develop what you want to become. So it's, get ready for the ride is all I'll say.
Great, thanks guys. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Professor Ankar Sani, and if you do have questions, you can enter them into the chat on the right side of the screen, and we will get to those at the end. All right, so thank you, Professor Sani.
Yes, thank you, Kate, and thank you, everyone, especially our students who helped us come and represent our program, especially at this late hour. So I'm going to discuss highlights of the program. I will not be able to go into any specific detail unless there is a question, and then we'll be happy to do that. Right. So I wanted to put a little tacky title here, but we really do that in our program. Actually, we try to go from Earth to space. Right. That's what aerospace and aeronautical engineering is about. Let's see if this works. So just to get started, I think we already did the introduction of presenters and also the panelists. I'm going to talk about the 2 majors we have here, our program, our department, RPI in general, then courses, labs, and then, things like our history, alumni placement, and things of that nature. And I'll keep the talk pretty brief, and I want to leave a lot of time for questions and interactions, right? That's why we wanted to have the whole sort of representation here: faculty, staff, student services, professor of practice, and our own students. So there are two programs: aeronautical engineering, aerospace engineering. If you think of aeronautical engineering, you would think something near the surface of the earth, right? So we try to be down to the earth and try to do things near the surface of the earth in the atmospheric environment. Things which we can fly, move faster, and things we learn can be applied to other systems like wind turbines, Formula One cars, even civil engineering, design of buildings, and so on and so forth. So aeronautical engineering is very, very enriching, and it mainly is concerned with doing flight near the surface of the earth within the atmosphere of the earth, right? That's a very high level description. If you think of aerospace engineering, then you would be doing flights more than just the atmospheric conditions or atmosphere near a surface of a planet and so on and so forth. You would be going out of that into the space like low Earth orbit or interplanetary travel, and much more than that for things like satellites and instrumentation and measurements. Currently, there is a lot of interest and focus on doing human flights, particularly more than moon, going to different planets, because we want to see humans be able to become an interplanetary species, as they say, right? So any engineering, design, analysis, operations, structures, all of that related to any space flight comes within aerospace engineering. So that's sort of the high level description. And I'm going to move on from that and give you a sense of a very, very high level view of what you can think of aerospace engineering. So you would come here, first you would start to think like an engineer and become like an engineer, and then we will specialize you in aerospace engineering, either aeronautical or aerospace or maybe both. So you may be at a very basic knowledge of what I would call in math, physics, chemistry, what you've learned in your high school, senior years in the school. And you may have taken advanced courses like calculus and things like that. We will really harden them and make you specialized knowledge in aircraft and spacecraft systems. But what I can tell you is, because we have to deal with so many different aspects, you will be very well rounded. You can go beyond and do things in very different areas other than directly related to aerospace engineering, if you wish to do so. So we do give our students a bit of a hard time. I think you heard that from our students here. Our courses are very, very well designed, very well established. And so, our faculty takes a lot of time in thinking of growth of student from a technical point of view. So we really want to see you transform, which is sort of this left end to right end of this black arrow shows you that we want you to become specialized in this knowledge. So you can think of, again, aeronautical and aerospace engineering. I'll discuss a little bit more detail on that in a second. You can think of fixed wing aircraft or rotary aircraft within the atmosphere. And then you can think of spacecrafts, which obviously escape the gravity, go into space and beyond into different planets. So there are two majors, 2 degrees, and Professor Anderson has really put in a lot of effort to have our aerospace degree established here at RPI and accredited. We had aeronautical before, but now we offer both. So our program is truly aerospace. And really, the difference boils down to which flight mechanics and capstone course you will take, right? So either you take fixed wing sort of track or you take space. And aerospace typically is a little broader than aeronautical, because to go to space, you obviously have to escape the gravity and atmosphere. And when you come back, you have to deal with the atmosphere, like in re-entry and things of that nature. So aerospace involves space flight mechanics and space vehicle design, whereas aeronautical will involve air vehicle design like fixed wing or rotary wing type of aircrafts. We also offer dual majors, very common for our students to do dual with mechanical, and we have very optimized templates without a lot of extra effort. And Kate and Professor Tom Haley are in student services, and they we have very dedicated set of student advisors who can help you through this journey. We also offer 1 year quota masters. 1 year means 1 year for masters. So this is in addition to your 4-year bachelor program. So a lot of our students have started to opt it because then they can get more advanced placements in the companies. We also have started to offer 7-year BS to PhD program, very fast track. And few of our students have graduated from it, and there are a few more coming along the line. So we are very excited to provide this enriching type of thing. So course curriculum and labs, I will say we have very deep and enriching curriculum. Advanced courses, full range of topics. We cover propulsion, controls, we cover structures, fluid mechanics, computation, and we really are very, very adaptive. And what you can think of agile, right? So we take feedback from our students, and we are not afraid to change our curriculum. We actually can change much faster than compared to many other schools. And we have tried this many times, and we have become very efficient and good at it, I would say. So, we have taken feedback on certain topics and introduced completely new electives, like computational elective for our students. And that, I think I'm very, very proud of that we have been able to do in the last 6-7 years, and so on and so forth. State-of-the-art labs, we have some pictures are shown here. Our students sometimes also getting engaged with the research program. They actually work with research facilities and being used for advanced cutting-edge research. And so this includes both experimental and computational facilities. And you can see a picture of our real IBM quantum computer, which we really brag about because this is the only one in any university campus in the world, as far as I know. And we have very, very large-scale computing facilities also. So our program is very enriching, and we cover different aspects. I have many URP students. Professor Anderson has many URP and had many URP students, and there are other faculty members who have URP students. This slide, I kept it small. We have world-class faculty and instructors and very dedicated set of advisors. Here is a picture from our holiday Christmas party from the department. So some of us are present here in the Professor Anderson and Kate, you can spot them. And that may be Tom, with the person sitting in the middle with the red dress there. But I want to focus on our program and students, and faculty, although is very, very important, is just piece of the whole thing, right? So we have a very good set of community. I want to focus on that. And before I go into more on community, I wanted to mention a few stats from the Career and Professional Development Center. I picked this statistics from their data. They publish it, collect it every year. Our Aero bachelor's average starting salary is 76,000 plus. They go up to like 9,500K, I think, if I remember correctly. MS and PhD can be up to, average salary is 90K and 132K. Some PhDs can go way much higher depending upon the demand and which area you are in. But with quota program, you can actually get a pretty good increase in your salaries. We have about 150 employers of Aero students. Last time I checked, these are rough numbers rounded. It was a long list, so I just sort of counted very quickly from the data. As I said, this data is published online. In terms of student experience, we have lots of student chapters like AIA, Sigma Gamma Tau Society, a lot of exciting student clubs, Design, Build, Fly. Some of our students today are present from there, and other students from other clubs, Drone Club, Rocket Society, Spaceflight Club, RSCL, CL Motorsport, so on and so forth. And then we also care about student activities. Like we have recently started to have very aero-specific activities also. And then we have department-wide holiday parties and things like that. The picture earlier I showed was from department party, and it's open to all. And we get a very good crowd of students during that time. So I wanted to show a couple of examples from our student clubs. The top row is from Design, Build, Fly. and they did a brilliant job of putting together a report analysis in detail. I just took some few samples, and then they actually made a model and did a flight and took a sort of video, and I took a snapshot of it, right? Then we have the space related activities going on here in exploration systems with the NASA competition, which is, there is a team a picture shown on the bottom left. We have, faculty members, teaching faculty, down to graduate students, to lots of undergraduate students who are involved in different aspects and particular specific technical things. This picture is sort of small, but I just wanted to show you that our students are highly engaged and they are interested in designing this system for space related activities. Some of our alumni, I have a great set of slides which were prepared by Professor Anderson and some of the students who are here. But that PowerPoint presentation is pretty heavy, so I tried to capture some samples from there to here. Our program was established in 1936, so it would be like you would be the 90th cohort, and in 10 years from now we would finish our 100 years. It's one of the oldest in the country, and there are few alumni I have listed here. I'll mention a couple of things that they go way back from 30s, right? We have history going back to 30s all the way to now, and I could not get all the slides to fit in here, so I don't have the recent ones, but we have people high up in Boeing who are VP of research and things like that. And then George Lowe is our alum who was basically the director of NASA manned spacecraft and Apollo program, which was critical to send the people to moon, the first sort of U.S. Human to moon, U.S. flight. So with that, I will end. I hope I try to keep up with time and leave a lot for questions. So I would say we would really like to answer your questions, and we would really love to have you for your visit at campus. So let's see, maybe I can go out of presentation mode and still share it. And I know I kind of went pretty fast, but I tried to touch the high level things and keep a lot of time for interaction and questions. And we got a lot of our students be present here so that you can ask questions not only to faculty, but also our students.
Thank you so much. I'm going to facilitate some of the questions. Some of them I was answering in the chat, but I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see them. And I did want to say that we have another student that was able to join us, Ava Goucher. So Ava, if you wanted to just introduce yourself before we start answering some questions so students know who you are.
Hey, hello. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi, I'm Ava. I'm a senior dual major in the mechanical and aerospace, and I'm interested in doing grad school here next year for the +1 year program. So I hope you guys can ask me questions and I can answer some of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we did have some questions about if you can dual in aerospace and aeronautical engineering. We did answer it in the chat, but did anybody want to address anything else about that, or how you could kind of get experience in both space and fixed wing?
So I can maybe add quickly. I think there is a formal degree and being able to get the experience and the courses. The formal degree might be tricky because of overlap and stuff like that, and maybe Professor Haley can speak to that. And I was just checking chat, and I think he mentioned something about that. But let's say you want to take fixed wing flight mechanics and air vehicle design. You can, if you can fit it in your curriculum and your classes. I don't think we will stop you to do that. we may not be able to officially offer you the degree, but you can get that experience and you can work with the faculty member to do URPs and things like that to get well-rounded learning in both aeronautical and aerospace engineering.
Great.
I will emphasize one thing that JPL will hire you if you do fixed wing, and Boeing Air Flight or Sikorsky Helicopter will hire you if you've done space flight. They almost don't care. What they care about is when you're in an interview that you show some passion. So we recommend you pick whatever track excites you the most, and then go sell that when you interview.
So let me jump in on this. Before I came to RPI, I spent over a decade in the aerospace industry. And I'm considered an aerospace engineer, but the first job offer I received was to work on the B-2 bomber. No, excuse me. The first job offer I received was to work on the flight control system for the Super Hornet. The second job offer I received was to work on the B-2 bomber. And then I decided to go build rockets, big rockets. And so, as Professor Haley was pointing out, the JPLs, the Boeings, the Lockheeds, they know that to a large degree at the bachelor's level, there's a lot of overlap. And they're looking for great engineers. So you should chase your passion, whether that's more of a fixed wing or a rotorcraft focus or a space focus. But, yeah, I'm a space guy, but I have worked on aircraft, and I've worked on helicopters, and I've worked on motorcycles and cars and ships, because the education that you get is very much more broad than the name of the degree.
So if I can add for 30 seconds a little bit more what Professor Anderson mentioned, right now we have research, active research. Although I'm an aerospace program faculty member and I have PhD students and master students and undergraduates in that, we are doing fusion plasma and sea ice and climate related research too, because we have the skill set and we have shown very complicated computational models for, let's say, hypersonics, and people are like, well, we would want to use this for other things too. And so that adds to that point, I think.
Great, thank you so much. All right, I did see a few questions about research, and I know some of the students on here have done research. So does anybody want to talk about their research experience? There was a specific question about whether or not you have to do it under the undergraduate research program, but there are a few different ways you could do research. You could do that for pay. You could get credit for it. You could also do it for your away semester. So if you guys want to talk about that, let's see.
Let's see if any of our students here has been engaged in any research. It'll be good to hear from them too. I don't want to put them on spot, but just wanted to check.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If I guess for our case, myself and Luke, our way into research was a lot more. You find a project, you talk about it with a potential principal investigator or a PI. You'll be hearing that term a lot, and you can do that either, like mentioned, for credit and or for funding or money. So I guess how it came to us is we thought of an idea that could be a cool research project, such as a two-stage hypersonic rocket to space. And since then, we've kind of used that to build our research. So I guess, long story short, what research you decide to do at RPI could either be something that's pre-existing with a professor. Literally, you can talk to professor after class, like, hey, I'd like to do research. Or you could just say, hey, I have this idea that I think is pretty cool. I have an outline of what I would talk about and research into, and you can go from there. So it kind of is pretty open-ended, and that's kind of how it worked for us.
Yeah, I can just add to that because I also have both worlds of experience, I guess, in research. On one hand, I got into research with the club that I used to run, Rensselaer Spaceflight Society, when I was vice president and president, where we had like 4 different research projects. So I know Lucas and Noah are in the Rocket Society, and they do a lot of research within that. But I also know that we get like usually weekly or bi-weekly emails of people with openings. So if you're not like outwardly reaching out for or researching professors and what they do, you can also see emails about other URP opportunities within the main department, and you can apply to those. So that's how I was able to get my opportunity as a PI with Dr. Maniotti on a little bit less technical on the women in aerospace engineering, and kind of seeing how the different worlds are between mechanical and aerospace, and trying to improve our faculty diversity.
Actually, if I can add there, I have not used it directly, but CCPD now has a thing called Handshake, where even URP positions can be posted. So it's like a central location. I've heard. I have to. My business administrator who helped me with those details has done that, but I need to check that too, on my own. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Does somebody else want to jump in?
I was just saying, asking if there is anyone else, like any other student who wants to add, or if not, then maybe I can just say one quick sentence, Kate, and
Sure.
We can move on. URP, is a very good way for students to engage on something technical more than the course, right? And so it can be enriching experience from that point of view. And a lot of times students are a little worried initially that they don't have the right set of background. But when you talk to faculty member, they understand. They will ask you, are you a senior? Have you taken, are you a sophomore or a junior? Have you taken this course or not? And so we calibrate according to that. And we engage them in the right level. At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, I can add on to that. I do research in the material science department, which isn't under my major at all, just because I had an additional interest in it and I wanted to go further than what I learned in class. And I went to office hours with one of my professors, and I knew he had research in that topic, and I just asked him about it, and now I'm testing polymers, and I'm learning something that doesn't necessarily have to be what your major is or minor or anything. So you can always branch out and just see what you're interested in, and it might not be what your major is at all.
I do have
yeah.
something to add if you have a little bit
Yeah.
more time. I just saw someone say, can freshmen get research opportunities? And I did know someone, just as like that it has happened. I have talked to someone, and he was really interested in the spaceflight mechanics that I was working on, and he was a freshman at the time. And we had some peers, and we connected him with Professor Singh, who was our spaceflight mechanics professor. And Professor Singh understood that he was a freshman, but he was willing to independently learn. And so he gave him some opportunities to research on his own, and not for credit or money or anything like that, but for the passion that he did have for the subject and propelling what he didn't know to try and be able to get a position in the future, maybe in a research project like that. I haven't heard how he's doing now, but I assume he's doing great things. So there are opportunities if you have the interest, and a lot of professors are open to helping you out.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. All right. There is a lot of questions about internships and what kinds of resources are available, and questions about our career fair. Does anybody want to talk about that? Because I know a lot of you have had some great opportunities.
I think that's the best answered by our students.
I can kind of jump in and share my experience there.
Yes.
There's definitely a lot of like formal structured support at RPI in terms of the Center for Career and Professional Development. There's usually a couple of really good career fairs that are run every year. I saw someone ask like what kinds of companies are there. I think I've seen Pratt and Whitney and Lockheed Martin, and then some smaller like suppliers and local or regional companies. So there's a lot of like formal resources at RPI to kind of get you that professional experience and get you to reach out to employers and kind of learn how to put together a resume and present yourself in technical or in corporate settings. But a big thing too is in terms of, I know like as a incoming student, everybody's worried about internships and getting a job when you graduate. I would say my best advice is that you'll be able to reach out to employers, and what will kind of like dictate if you can really secure an internship or not is what you have to tell them about what you did at your time at RPI. So they'll kind of be able to pick between, 100 other RPI grads who went to their classes and maybe got good grades. But my best advice would be to, figure out what you're interested in and join a club or get involved with research or just kind of do something to offer you something to tell employers about. And that's what will really get you kind of in the door or start getting job offers.
Yeah, to add on to that, making connections is a very important thing, not only pursuing what you're passionate in, but also talking to people who do things that you're interested in too, because having those connections can get you in the door in a company where you may not have been able to talk about what you're passionate about and what you've done at RPI and what you've learned. So by making connections and being involved, it helps a lot.
Kate, we're not able to hear you. I think you're on mute. Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked specifically, does NASA hire RPI grads? And I know that we have some people ready to jump on that answer. So
If I may jump in on that one.
go ahead.
How do I put this not so bluntly? The guidance, navigation, and guidance group for the Artemis mission is, to a very significant degree, my students. And so you're not going to the moon without RPI. That when JPL came by a couple of years ago and paid me a special visit because so many of my students were now employed at JPL. But it's not just me, it's all of us. We have an oversized representation at all the key players, whether it's Boeing, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, NASA. Well, choose your favorite installation. There's RPI graduates there. Our students are very highly sought after.
If I can add, I work in the computational area also, and do not worry so much about the physical world. And I think there are people who are much better than me to deal with the physical world. So I have had a lot of success with Langley and other places, NASA Langley and other places with students. I know the person who used to or still maintains, I think, their like turbulence modeling web page and group and activity NASA-wide, which is very, very deep and complicated topic, is actually RPI alum from 90s, I would say. I do not know if he is retired or not, but last time I checked, he was still doing that.
Okay, so somebody had asked, are there any industry-sponsored projects that undergraduates can engage in? Anybody want to take that one?
I guess maybe I can start there. We have lots of industry-sponsored projects where undergraduates can actually participate and contribute. We also have federal agency and New York State funded projects where undergraduates can participate. I've had some undergraduate students in these different types of funding scenarios participate. Again, mostly through URP and sometimes now with thing called ILE, which I don't remember the full form for, but when a student is in this away semester, and that gets into some more detailed discussion, but they can be a full-time, they can get full-time learning experience at RPI and work full-time. And I've had those type of situations too, which were industry sponsored or federally sponsored.
I would add on to that as well. I think most of the students here are in a lot of clubs like spaceflight or rockets. I'm in the Design Build Fly club that Professor Soni mentioned earlier. And I think the majority of those clubs receive industry funding and do professional design reviews and things like that. Like for Design Build Fly, we get funding from Boeing and Lockheed Martin,
Yes.
so that can be a great opportunity to kind of establish some industry connections, and also just really grow your experience working on a team and problem solving as a team that really companies like to see. Um, yeah, and I can drop a link in the chat to join that server so you guys can kind of get to talk more with students on your own time when you have time to think about your questions more and just kind of get an idea of what opportunities there are at RPI.
Yeah, Matthew pretty much hit it right on the spot. A lot of the group club projects that occur at RPI, we all kind of share that same experience with being supported by a lot of industry. To name out front, our team is sponsored by Anduril, if you're not familiar with the defense company. And a lot of these experiences that you gain through working with industry professionals, through design reviews, is kind of very similar to how it is in the real world in actual industry. I could speak on my internship. It was kind of very similar to how I was in my club, where I would have to partake in design reviews and get design feedback, not just professionals, but from my coworkers. So a lot of that, there's a heavy emphasis on projects and clubs at RPI, and we strongly encourage you to take part in them and see what works best for you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so there's a couple quick ones that I'll just answer. Student asked if you can minor in business and major in aerospace, and yes, you can definitely do that. We have students that do that. It's called our management minor. And we also have students that go on for the MBA program after they get their aerospace or aeronautical engineering degree. So, and that can be done in the 5 years. Let's see. And dual major in aerospace engineering and computer science. I have seen a couple students do that. It's a little bit harder, longer, more credits than something like aero and mechanical, just because aero and mechanical are within the same department. Aerospace and computer science are in not only two separate departments, but two separate schools. Computer science is in our School of Science. But we've had students that have been ambitious and wanted to do that and have done that. And we will work with students to come up with their template to make sure they get all the requirements and work with the other department as well. I did see a couple questions and I was kind of hoping that we could definitely go around to all the students if you don't mind sharing your experiences. A lot of students want to know kind of how did you choose RPI? What made you choose RPI over, the other schools you were applying to? Somebody specifically mentioned Embry-Riddle. So if any of you had also considered that, if you want to talk a little bit about that decision. And I guess, don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you guys want to jump in and then just pass it on to the next person if you're ready to share. And when I stop hearing it, then we'll move on if there's any more questions. I think that's kind of ending some of the questions that I saw. So if you do have questions, make sure you add them into the chat so that we can get to those.
Yeah, and if we missed your question, let's say from earlier on, please put it again, right? Kate is saying if you missed something or if you still have it, just put it again. Thank you. So I guess Kate was suggesting if our students can speak a little bit on how they selected RPI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I can jump in and kind of share my experience. I mean, for starters, RPI is definitely, especially the Aero program, I was really interested in planes and studying aeronautical engineering, and RPI is pretty well known in the engineering field to be a strong school for that. But aside from kind of the obvious facts, a big thing that I heard from when I was talking with current students at RPI And this is something that I've absolutely found is true in my experience here, is there's a really strong sense of community among students here. It's very much like help the other person out. Everyone's in it together. There's tons and tons of great groups on campus, be it study groups or clubs or anything like that. It just, there's a really strong sense of community. So that's something that drew me to RPI, and I've really enjoyed during my time here.
Yeah, I can add to that. I agree. And also compared to all the other schools, I believe that RPI kind of set you up for your like career later on. And I think that is true with the whole Arch program. And especially afterwards, there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of seek out an internship or a job afterwards. Like even when I was on my Arch away, I was actively participating in alumni like meetings that we were having and like tours at different jobs and everything. And even then, alumni that had never even met me were asking if I needed any help looking for jobs and just the job search as a whole. And I think that what really sets RPI apart is that it is that sense of community, and they want to see you like strive in the industry, and they don't want to see you not having a job after graduation, or they want to make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing, and they will find ways that you end up with a job that you're passionate in. So that's why I kind of chose RPI over everything else.
Okay, do we still have some questions left? Or
Yeah, there's a couple more questions. Did any other students want to mention anything about choosing RPI or anything?
A really important question just popped up. What is the process of getting an internship? And I think the both of us, we can kind of answer that. What do these internships entail, and do these internships help you set you up to find a job in the future? So that is a really great question, because internships, co-ops, those terms get thrown around pretty often, and they all are very similar in a sense, but an internship is you literally get to work at a company, essentially someone who's not contractually obligated to continue. You're a student, so you have to go back to school. It's essentially you work there as if you're an engineer. Obviously, it differs from company to company, but I can definitely speak for my internship. I did the same exact job as all the propulsion engineers at my company, which was Physical Sciences Incorporated near Boston. And yeah, I did work like my coworkers did. And in terms of the question, do internships help you set you up find a job in the future? Yes, I was able to get a return offer from them. And Lucas, if you want to talk about your experience.
Yeah, same exact thing. I actually just got the return offer today, the contract for it. So it does pay off to get an internship. And when you're looking for them, don't get discouraged if you get a few rejections, because you'll find the right place, and it just takes a little bit of time. But that's really it.
Thanks. All right, I don't think we have any ROTC students on the call tonight, but we do have quite a few in our department. And I would say that that definitely helps them in getting a job, because they have to have a job in the military afterwards, and then they gain really great experience that way. But I'm not sure if any of our students here have any friends in the ROTC program. Anybody else have anything else to say about it? They are definitely some of the most organized students, very polite students that come in and talk to me. Big fan of our ROTC students. Anybody else want to say anything about that?
I'll chime in and mention that for those in Aero who might lean towards the Navy, because they obviously have a big presence in Aero, about 15% of naval reactors officers are RPI graduates. There are huge presences in various niche areas that RPI contributes to. So they're very respected, not just within RPI, but all across the military.
All right, so I think that might be the end. I'm just going through one more time. Somebody asked about the Arch program. I spend a lot of my time talking about Arch with our students, so I could definitely do a brief overview. Try not to get too much in the weeds with that. So Arch is a built-in way for students to get that outside experience other than their classroom experience, right? So students that come to RPI, they tend to be very academically focused. They, for the most part, enjoy taking their classes, and they want to sometimes just keep taking classes. But it actually is a way for them to get that other experience that employers are looking for. Employers give feedback that they want students that are ready to be working alongside their employees, that they can show up on time, they know how to communicate, and that is the purpose of having Arch, is to kind of force our students to have those experiences, but also provide the resources to help our students find those opportunities. It's a way to do it in 4 years instead of spending another year. Some schools have a 5-year co-op model, so it's kind of a similar type thing, except for there's other options other than doing a co-op or an internship. Students sometimes do self-designed projects, research, some will do study abroad. So there's other options as opposed to just an internship. So yeah, but that's the overview of Arch. Students take classes in the summer after their sophomore year, and then they go away for a 15-week fall or spring semester. That can be a longer experience, you know, if they do that into the summer as well. So, I mean, if our students would like to talk about their Arch experiences, some of these students were not taking classes in the summer. They did their internships in the summer, so there is flexibility with Arch too.
For my Arch experience, I actually couldn't get an internship during that period. And I ended up working on research on campus and working on my pilot's license. But having that time for professional development and applying to positions for the summer set me up for success.
I think few more questions popped up, Kate.
So if I may jump in, I see a question that hasn't been answered, and that was, what is the difference between aerospace and mechanical engineering? Would aerospace give me the same broad scope of application jobs as mechanical? Aerospace and aeronautical engineering could be viewed at some level as an exceedingly specialized form of mechanical engineering. But a mechanical engineer had better not design an aircraft. As soon as you get to the systems level, so you really need to worry about propulsion and control and flight mechanics and all of that, you need somebody that understands all those things on why it is so tough to keep an aircraft in the air in a sustained, controlled, and safe manner. Interestingly, when you actually go, when you take a job with Lockheed or Northrop or whomever, you'll discover that actually most of the people working on the aircraft or the spacecraft are mechanicals and electricals. Because as soon as you get from the system level down to the subsystem level, where now you're worrying about the motors, the actuators, the hydraulics, that tends to be dominated by mechanicals and electrical engineers. But the people in charge, they tend to be aeros.
All right, I did see another question that I didn't answer or ask either, but I think there's been some students that have been responding to it about study abroad. We do have students that study abroad. The locations, I mean, it could be endless. There are a lot of options. We do have a few select affiliated programs, but I've seen students do a lot of different experiences and go different places. I think somebody had mentioned somebody they know is studying in Korea. So yeah, we have a study abroad office that will work with you and find an experience that will be something you're looking for and will work. And then as an advisor, I help students kind of figure out what classes are going to be the best to look for at the institutions that they're going to be attending and to make sure it works within their plan.
And if somebody has been there before from an earlier year or something, then we kind of keep track of that and understand what courses they were able to take and transfer, and that information can be made available, I think, right?
Yes, definitely. Yep. Yeah, there's a collection of courses that we keep track of in our transfer guide that shows what courses have transferred in for before. So it makes it a little bit easier. I do see a question about sustainable aviation. A course on that. I know we don't have one on the schedule, but that might be something you could work with with a faculty member on either research or an independent study. I don't know if any of the faculty want to chime in on that.
I think we may have some elective or special topics courses in that, but we don't have it in our curriculum. And then we do have the club, the Engineers for Sustainable Living or something, which is main club.
Engineering for a Sustainable World.
Yeah. Yes, world. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, I was trying to remember. And so main department has that club of students, right? So that's another way to learn about those topics.
All right. Anything else that anybody wants to add before maybe we just close up, and just anything else? I guess the students, is there anything else you wanted to share? I think somebody did ask, do you have any advice you would give your freshman self, if you want to end with that, or anything else? Ava, you're first on my screen. Did you want to say anything about that or anything else?
Yeah, I'll say something. If I could talk to my freshman year self, I'd probably tell her to get good study habits, because going from high school, I honestly didn't really study that much. And then as soon as I got to freshman year, I didn't really know how to effectively study, especially for my learning habits. And I didn't do too well on the first round of exams. And now that I'm a senior, I figured out what works best for me. I know how to do it all. So if I just put more time to actually figuring out how to effectively study as a freshman, I probably would have done much better throughout my 4 years here. So that's probably what I would tell myself.
Well, thanks. All right. How about you, Matthew? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I threw some stuff in the chat about that question, but I'll definitely say it again if anyone missed it. But the three biggest things I would tell my freshman self is to talk to as many people as you can, students and faculty. Try out as many clubs as you can and pick one or two to join and get involved with, and then take some time to have fun. Those are the three I'd recommend.
Great. What about you, Maya?
So I guess bouncing off of what Ava and Matthew said, obviously, and I also had it in the chat, I would say to take advantage of my time in college, because 4 years goes by just as fast as high school, as you guys know, and take that opportunity to explore and figure out what drives you. People say if you love what you do, the money doesn't matter. And obviously with aerospace engineering, a lot of money in it, but I really truly believe in having a passion for it and figuring out what you want to do and do all the clubs you ever want to try out. I tried something out this senior year and I love it. So highly recommend that. And at the end of the day, everyone at RPI has their own challenges when you come here freshman year, like the studying and learning how to do well. But I wouldn't worry about it. It's like a pressure cooker for academics here. You will do great. You wouldn't be accepted here if we didn't think you could.
Thank you. Okay, I did see a couple questions pop up after we started going around, and I was going to ask Professor Anderson if he wanted to address the Embry-Riddle question, maybe compare and contrast just for a little bit.
Embry-Riddle is an excellent school, and the emphasis is on application. I've got a number of friends and colleagues that are faculty there. I can also tell you that a couple of years ago, one of their top students decided that they weren't sufficiently challenged at Embry-Riddle, came here because one of my friends and colleagues said you should go to RPI. The student came here. He took my spaceflight mechanics class after already taking spaceflight mechanics at Embry-Riddle from the guy who wrote the book. And when it was all over with, he said, we did a much better job. Then he went on and got a PhD at Stanford, and he is now a big gun at SpaceX. So Embry-Riddle is an excellent school, but if you're thinking about advanced topics, because they do not have research the way we have research, we do a better job in preparing you for graduate study, or our research tends to be much more advanced than theirs does.
And there were one or two questions on computer, and I have many windows open, so I'm trying to keep up with the chat also. We have a great computing center, and they help you institute-wide in terms of which computers to buy, license software, network license, any issues you run into. So they have a laptop program. Our students can probably tell more details, but there's a standard one, and you can purchase through RPI, which comes with all sorts of goodies and it pre-installed. And there was a question on like supercomputer or quantum computer use. So yes, our students, we actually brag about it and take pride in it, that we let our students use it under appropriate conditions, that they have an engaging project which requires that. And if you have the skills to use it, right? So you do need to learn some things to be able to use them and things of that nature. But we sometimes even open that up in our courses for students to be able to use these facilities. I know we are kind of running out of time, so I wanted to answer that quickly, Kate.
Great. Yeah, thank you. There was one more question I found, and it should be a quick answer. And the student wants to know if it's common to major in physics and aerospace and minor in astrophysics. I would say that is not common. But if that's where your interests are, we definitely work with students to try to make it work if they want to fit all of that in. It is possible. I'll just put it that way. And we will, work with you on that. We could also work with you on trying to make sure you get experience in all of those areas, even if you're not able to technically get a dual or double major or a minor. And I think I didn't want to leave Noah and Lucas out if they just wanted to have any final words or talk about what they wish they had known as freshmen. So let you guys finish it up.
As a freshman, I would look back and say, make the right friends, build the right study habits. You really want to be around people who want to work together. I study very well with people in groups, and I found that through making a lot of friends that are like-minded. So whatever really helps you succeed, try to figure it out and don't waste time doing things that aren't as productive, to say the least.
I think kind of what Luke is, really saying is try to get to that balance of, having that healthy lifestyle, but also you're in school to do school things. I think a lot of people like myself, we get pretty carried away in our freshman years. And just looking back, I would tell myself, Noah, lock in, man. I think, keep all things in check. Make the right decisions, make the right friends, and you're definitely going to go far. While also keeping your mental health in check too. Everything is very important. All the cylinders have to fire.
Okay, now there were a bunch of questions came up. We went into this slippery slope of comparing schools, which I don't think we're going to be able to do that. I'll say one thing: we are a very closely knit community, and we engage very closely with our students. Our education curriculum at undergraduate level is very, very strong, and we do very, very good research. We may not be as large as many of the other schools like Purdue, Michigan, Georgia Tech, but we compete with them at research level and as well as at the undergraduate education level, which may not be truly reflected in rankings and other things. But we are a very closer, smaller community, nightly work together and engage much more closely. And we care a lot about our students. Hopefully that helps to compare with other schools.
I'd like to chime in on, do we have a minute, Kate, still?
Yep, go ahead, Tom.
I just want to chime in on top of what Professor Sani said, that some of you may have a love for aerospace and a love for 17th century French poetry. Don't go here. Go to Michigan. They've got 100,000 students. They're going to have those French poetry courses. We're much smaller. So our real play is not that we have all these courses for everybody. We don't. We're much more selective. We're much smaller. But as Professor Sani and Professor Anderson have pointed out, we are a very close-knit collaborative school. I hear it again and again how much more collaborative we are, how courses are generally not graded on a curve where some percentage of you are going to do badly. No, if everybody gets an A, everybody gets an A. Well, okay, but if everybody gets an F, they also all get an F. But we didn't talk about that. That's the nature of the small school, a lot more individual attention. We can look for these niche dual majors that are rare here, but we will work with you to help that happen. So that's why you would want to choose Rensselaer, because you want that closer knit, closer feeling where you know the people around you and feel that passion together and collaborate to succeed.
Thank you so much. I want to just say that we're so happy that you joined us tonight. Congratulations on your acceptance. And we really hope that you'll come visit us. And I think that if you get a chance to visit the different colleges you're considering, that will really help in your journey. So I hope that you do get to visit us. We have 2 accepted student days coming up on March 22nd and April 12th, but you can contact us and Maine, and we can show you around if you're on campus at another point. And yeah, just reach out. I did put my email, but I think it got lost in the questions. You can email Maine, that's probably easier to remember, mane@rpi.edu, or stockk@rpi.edu. I know some of the students put their Discord links in there. And thanks again for joining us. And thank you to all of our panelists for joining us as well. Good luck
Thank you,
on your
everyone.
journey. Bye.
Bye now.
Take care.